When we refer to base saturation, talking about the percent of soil, the percent of the cations of that soil particle that we want to be calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, and hydrogen. So there's some ideal ranges where those numbers need to be. Typically we want the calcium around 70, magnesium from 12 to 15. We want potassium at 2 to 5%, sodium we want less than 1%, and then your hydrogen is going to be directly tied to your pH. So if you have a pH over 7, your hydrogen will be 0. If your pH is less than 7, you will have some hydrogen on your base saturation also. The range of CECs that we typically work with, probably the lightest soils we work with are in northwest Indiana. They have a CEC of 3 to 5, and it looks like a beach. It's sand, it's low sand, it's just very, very sandy. There's no loam, no silt at all in that soil. On the heavier end, we have some gumbos we work with, some really heavy, sticky gumbo soils. They're going to be in the high 20s or low 30s. So that's kind of the range. The soils that are easiest to work with are going to be in that, your silts, your silt loams are going to be in the 15 to 20 range typically. Now there is one exception on the high end of the CEC. If the soil is a peat-based soil, like if it has a lot of humic or humates in the soil, it will have a very high CEC, maybe in the upper 30s or 40s. We have one field in Minnesota that's a black sand and it has a lot of peat in it, and that CEC is almost 40. So that's one of the reasons that humates are such a good additive to any nutrient plan, is because they have a lot of holding capacity and they can hold a lot of nutrients. One thing to consider on low CEC soils, which I would typically consider anything from 1 to 10 would be low CEC, is that is almost like farming with hydroponics. There's very little mineral content, there's not a lot of nutrients. Adding 200 pounds of potassium to a soil with a CEC of 5 has a drastically different impact than adding 200 pounds of potassium to a soil that has a CEC of 25. It's important to understand the correlation between those two in knowing what your soil is and how it's going to hold nutrients.